has a new YouTube channel called Die Fruit, and basically the essence of the channel is to release as much information as possible to people all different levels really. Some people that maybe are new to information that is being sort of hidden or held back, and some people that have a lot of knowledge. This is just a free thinking sort of page that I think anybody can have input in. It's all about sharing. Not one person knows everything. So this page is just to get everything out. Maybe for the past 10 to 12 years, I've had a lot of knowledge, or have a lot of contacts within the industries, in the underworld of the industries, and different societies and stuff that goes on. And I just felt like it's no good keeping information, and yeah, so it'll be really good to just get information out. So we're going to start with maybe just a few things weekly, but I was actually planning on doing this video later this week in my office setup, but just hearing some of the news today, it's been quite let's say it's quite telling to find some of the news that's been coming out. We'll start by the BBC UK putting out some tabloids in the papers and online and on TV about the Russia war games, and them inviting China, and also with the hurricane that's hitting the east coast of America, and all of these stuff that's condescending right now. It being 9/11 memorial also today. And September is a very, very significant month if you look over the histories. Obviously, the autumn equinox is later this month, and the season usually changes in more ways than one, so not just by the weather. A lot of things in the spiritual realm changes also within this month. So yeah, hearing a lot of this news has just been very in my face. I've just been thinking, wow, this is a time where people have to be getting their guard up, and also realizing what's happening in front of them. And it's a telling time. Also, I just remembered also the Japan with the earthquakes there. Yeah, basically, a lot of stuff is happening, and a lot of stuff is due to happen. There's some other networks that I keep a keen sort of eye on, and information, like The Voice in the car, and he would also be able to tell you that all of this is very significant. Things happen esoterically and esoterically, depending on the way you look at things. They all have different meanings. The fact that this storm's coming when a lot of activities happening with America, and a lot of activities happening with Russia and China and Syria. If we look in Idlib right now, we could be a day away, we could be a few weeks away from actually America and the West having to take action, because Russia and Iran, I believe, are closing down on the Syrian troops, and just bombing the hell out of Idlib. And now there's casualties among civilians, and they're calling out for the West's help. So, and all in the same space of Russia having this war games over in, I think it's just the coast of Japan or something like that. Very telling. This is 3,000 ships, 3,000 tanks or troops. It's just that I saw the numbers and I was just like, okay, this is what you do before you prepare for a war. Just like if you're in boxing, you spar before you box. Just like you go into an exam, you do your preparations for your exams before any form of test. It shows that something's gonna happen or something's imminent. So with all that being said, don't want to drag out the points too much. I'll just ask people to stay well informed, be prepared. Another thing which I was watching on the BBC UK, is Beyond 100 Days research it, maybe you can get it online. Watch the footage back beyond 100 days, and it stated how a lot of the West countries, US, in some parts of UK, are very underprepared, and it's also stated how people are very reluctant, very lazy. They listed 6 key things that people face when people react when they're facing a natural disaster or something, and it was alarming to find out uh, the lack of um, urgency being shown, and this is like I said, this is a very significant month, um, uh, and people are planning to have hurricane parties, and people are not moving on the east coast of America, and it's crazy even in the UK with the Brexit. Everything that's happening, you could just see is being prepared for another fall. Just to mention, it's been 10 years also since the Lehman brothers, since they went bust, and there was everybody knows what happened 10, 11 years ago. The whole West faced a recession. And then an advisor, an analyst actually came on the news and spoke and said that we have not learned from the history of what happened in Lehman Brothers, and there are other big banks that are taking the same risks that Lehman Brothers took. So I don't know if that's a cold calling for, be prepared, because other banks are probably going to make the same stupid mistakes. But the analysts had that to say, and it's just really telling the amount of things that's happened, the anniversaries of September, and a lot of things are happening right now. So it made me actually feel like, let me just get some information up, and just sometimes putting out the obvious is not always obvious. So I welcome people to get involved, in any way through comments, or because, as we know, news correspondents show different things across the world. What I'm seeing here, it could be very different to what they're showing across the sea. So I'll be happy to hear or read anything. And there will be more sort of content coming out very soon. It will be focused on one or two specific areas. There will be different categories. There will be like stuff based on numerology, stuff based on self-identity, spiritual realms, where we are in the time of now, sort of history, sort of black history, modern history, and just as much general sort of advanced information as possible. So I look forward to the next content that I'll produce, and for now, everyone, stay safe.